Welcome to Sip and Stay with Stephanie. Hey everybody, what's up? It is Stephanie Humphrey coming to you with Sip and Stay with Stephanie. How is everybody doing this evening? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing spiritually? How are you doing physically? How are you doing socially? How are you doing this time around? I am actually doing very well right now. I'm doing very well right now. It's been a really good day. I have to admit, when I got up this morning, um, I was a little tired. Like I was like, oh my goodness. I went to bed a little later than I should have last night, up editing and proofing the new a book that I'm working on, the trilogy that I'm working on. I'm almost at the end of proofing and editing book one. And so this one is taking a little bit longer to proof and then to edit because it's a trilogy. It's like more words that I've ever written in my life. So it's over 130,000 words. And so it's taken a little bit longer. And I want to make sure this story is good, that it's solid. The story is good, the story is solid. I want to make sure the editing is solid and good, and the proofing is solid and good. And I think this will be my last book. I think this will be my last fiction romance novel. I cannot say because National Novel Writing Month is coming up in November, and I have not been able to stop writing. Like last November, I was like, I'm not gonna write. But once November 1st gets close, I'm like, I have to write something because it's Nano Write Mode, National Novel Writing Month, so I have to write. So I don't know what I'm gonna produce in 2022 in November, or if I'm gonna produce anything, I can't say. But I am working diligently on this trilogy. I do not know when I'm going to release it. October keeps coming up in my spirit and in my mind. So October will probably be the release date. I do not know the exact date at this moment, but October it will be coming. I will not release the few chapters. I told you it's coming, it's coming. I'm not going to release the few chapters that I'll be sharing with you prior to. I'm not going to do that until September. That way it'll only be about a month or so, maybe a little over a month between the time that the first few chapters are released and the actual book comes out. I definitely want to whet your appetite, but I don't want to leave you panting for more. So I'll try to make the time between the release of the first few chapters and the actual book release to be as short as possible. And I'm actually going to release the first few chapters as a book. I'm actually going to make a book, absolutely, it'll be available free as an ebook that you'll be able to read those first few chapters and get a feel for what this story is going to be about. The title of the book is A Long Time Coming, book one, book two, book three. So A Long Time Coming, book one. Well, I'll tell you about that later. I'll just wait. Maybe I'll wait until August to give you that, and then September you'll get the first. I think I did 5 chapters. Because I did a little note where I'm going to stop at the chapter release. I believe it's 5. And so I'll do that. And then the full book release will come out in October. I'm so excited. Like I said, y'all, this is my first and probably my last trilogy because I did not anticipate this to be a trilogy. I actually started writing this book. Well, the idea has been brewing this is going into the second year that it's been brewing. And in November of last year, I actually started writing the book, and then I started writing more, and then more and more and more. And so it's ended up being over 130,000 words of a novel. And I was just like, I got to break this down. Like, I'm not going to be, I can release one book, but I was like, I'm going to break it into a book one, book two, book three. And so that's what I've done. I was going to release them different times. I think I mentioned before at a Sip and Say, but I decided not to do that. I decided I'm going to release the book in one, but the actual one book will be breaking down into 2. So it'll be book 1, book 2, book 3, all into one book, okay? So that you can keep reading and until the end and let me know what you think. All right, so I know I've already asked what you all have been sipping on in the first broadcast. What y'all sipping? I'm sipping on some water. It's summertime, it's hot, so I'm sipping on me some water. In my prayer warrior mug, my Aunt Wanda gave me. I really love this mug. It was a blessing. Is a blessing. So I'm gonna take a sip. What y'all sipping on? Y'all sipping on some wine, some tea, iced tea, hot tea. Y'all sipping on some coffee, iced coffee, hot coffee, juice, gin and juice, you know, whatever, a little champagne, wine, mimosa, whatever. What y'all sipping on tonight? Again, just, you know, plain old water for me. I'm telling you, I'm taking a sip. You all, it's been hot outside. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. Make sure that you're wearing protective clothing outside. Stay out of the sun as much as possible. Keep yourself safe. Keep your children safe. Keep your pets safe. Keep the elderly safe. Y'all, my neighbors, I think I told y'all this like in the spring. My neighbors, or even last summer, I can't even remember when it was, my neighbors be outside cutting the grass 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the weekend. And I want to tell them, if y'all don't get yourself in the house in all this heat, but that they be out there, child. I be praying God protect them, keep them, because I don't want to look out my window, you know, and they, you know, slumped over somewhere, you know. So just make sure that you're protecting you, your pets, your children, your elderly. Make sure your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, that they're not outside cutting grass or doing some yard work, working in the garden in these extreme heat conditions. Okay. Check on them, make sure that they are okay. All right, all right. So again, welcome to Sip and Say. My Wanda says she's sipping on some water this evening too. All right. So let's get into some news. I only have a few news stories for you all tonight. I have not eaten dinner, so as a preacher said, I'm not gonna be before you long. But I do have just a few things that I'm going to share with them and put my glasses on. Look, I made the print big so that I can see it. Yeah, I think I'm going to go tomorrow to get my glasses. I have a new pair of glasses. It's the medicine on them is just a little bit more than what I have now. It's not much. Y'all, I'm going to share y'all something about my optometrist. I think I'm not gonna say that they spoke this over me. I'm not even gonna receive that. But I remember going into, because I didn't know I was supposed to check my eyes regularly. Y'all heard me say this before, until I was at a Women's Health Awareness Day, and they was like, "When the last time you had your eyes checked?" I was like, "Oh." They was like, "You need to get your eyes checked yearly." So I started going about 4 or 5 years ago, and when I first went in, the optometrist at that time, she was like, "You don't wear glasses, correct?" And I said, "No." She was like, "When you get over 40, you know, you should be wearing some glasses." I was like, "I don't receive that. You're not gonna speak that over my life." I started wearing these last year, and they do help. Like I spend a lot, like an exuberant amount of time at the computer, and they really do help me at the computer even when I've started reading them, even when I'm editing and proofing my novel, I've been reading. I sometimes wear them as well, and so it's been good. Y'all know what? My computer battery, which is currently charging my phone, because I didn't charge my phone last night. I was like on the 27. I was like, I know I can't do the show on that. But I meant to grab my, oh, the Lord is good. My charger is right here. So y'all, let me take a moment to plug in my computer so that everything can be working correctly, so that there will not be any delays, further delays. For Sip and Say, y'all know I'm just straight, you know, I ain't gonna say I'm straight street, I'm just straight me. I'm straight Stephanie, that's who I am. And I don't even care about the flubs and the mistakes and all that. It just is what it is. All right. All right. So look, y'all, I just wanted to give you a little bit of update. We've been talking about Uvalde, Texas for the last few Sip and Says with Stephanie. I just have a really brief update that the principal of the school, Mandy, let me make sure I'm saying her name right. Gutierrez, I think I'm saying it right. Y'all know I talked about the report, I think it was like a 22-page report that was released, a preliminary report. Let me make sure I say that clear. A preliminary report was released a few weeks ago about the shooting at Uvalde, Texas at Robb Elementary School. And in the report, it really talks about how the law enforcement agencies the report put some blame on them. I'll just say it like that. The report put some blame on the hundreds of law enforcement agencies, or the few law enforcement agencies that were there, which resulted in several law enforcement individuals amongst the agencies. So it does put some blame on them. And it also put some blame on the school. And so Miss Mandy, the principal of Robb Elementary School, she through her lawyer, she, shared, made a statement, shared a few things. She's not happy, of course. I wouldn't be either if I was administrator for school and this happened at my school, number one, and then I'm getting blamed for it. I wouldn't be happy with that, but I definitely would. I would like to say I would take some self-inventory, which I already do. Like, I'm a self-inventory type of person. I can assess myself and know, Stephanie did wrong, you said that wrong, your tone was wrong, whatever the case may be, as well as when I do things well, I acknowledge that as well. But I would like to think that I would do a self-assessment, see what protocols did we miss, or what safety measures did we miss for this incident to have happened at my school. Either way, through her lawyer, Ms. Mandy, well, first of all, she disputed the findings that were released in this preliminary report. She did dispute the findings that talked about the unlocked doors and the lock on the teacher's door that was broken and it wasn't fixed. She did dispute those claims from the preliminary report. She refuted through her lawyer the culture of complacency, the culture of complacency that is indicated in the report over the safety at Robb Elementary School. She did refute those claims in her report, those claims from the report through her lawyer. She did note that the lock on the door to the 4th grade classroom where the May 24th shooting happened, it did work when a custodian checked it the night before. She said it did work. I don't know if there is documentation that has been released by the principal or by her lawyer that indicated the janitor checked the door. I remember talking last Thursday at Sip and Say how maintenance reports, I think I mentioned it, if I didn't, there are maintenance reports that happen. So when I was in the classroom and there was something going on in my classroom, like I wanted a lock to be put on the cabinets to protect my children's IEPs, like their personal information, or from one of my file cabinet where I kept some of their information, like the more detailed information in the file cabinet. I wanted a lock there. If there was a leak at the set, like I do remember talking about, we had our water fountain wasn't working, so I put in a work order for that to be fixed. And so there's an email, I always email, so I can keep that email trail to say I did submit this email on this date with a request. And then I can kind of count the days and sometimes weeks until maintenance came to either make repairs or either to just do some work that I've asked, like the locks on the cabinet, and so I don't know if there was a maintenance report that the school follows, like a protocol of maintenance reports that they do that. I can't say, but she did say the custodian checked the lock and it was working the night. And I believe Miss Mandy came out because she has been suspended without pay. The superintendent of the school district has suspended her without pay as it relates to the school security. She has been suspended without pay. And I think that's all the update that I'll give about it. Oh, let me give this quote from Miss Mandy. This is a condition as it relates to the door that has to be forcefully closed in order to engage the lock. She noted this is a condition of many doors in aged buildings. Now, she's not wrong about that, because we got a few old buildings in my district, and sometimes you do, just to make sure that everything's connected, that lock and the lock and the opening for the lock is connected. Sometimes you got to pull it a little bit harder, just to make sure it's connected. So yeah, so I see exactly what she's saying. So maybe the lock on the door wasn't checked. I cannot say, but but yeah, so that happened. There's also one other thing that I wanted to share that Miss Mandy mentioned. She said that the teacher who's in charge of the classroom where the shooting happened, that teacher complained that other teachers would come to their classroom because that classroom had the only printer. And so the teacher complained that other teachers would come in, interrupting the day in order to retrieve their documents. And of course, they had to knock on the door because the door was locked. And so there was some disruption there. That's odd. When I read that, that was odd to me because every school that I've ever been to or ever known has had a workroom where teachers go to make their copies, to even work, like there's tables set out where they can work. Depending on what school you have your laminator in the workroom, some laminators are in the office at schools that I've been in, some laminators in the workroom. The first school I worked at as a permanent employee, their laminator was in the workroom, and then you had the big tables there and you could cut out your laminations and do what you need to do in there. And there were other, resources in there that we could use, like the die cuts were in there for our bulletin boards indoors. And so all of that was housed in the workroom. The printer was in there as well. And so for a printer to be in the teacher's classroom, it was the school's only printer in a classroom. I find that very odd. Like, why was that the case? And I'm not talking about it being odd as it relates to the shooting, because the printer in this teacher's classroom, is separate from the shooting. This is me talking from the perspective of an educator, separate from the Uvalde shooting. I want that to be clear. So I'm like, why is the school's only printer in a teacher's classroom? Like the teacher said, I'm being interrupted because people are trying to get their copies. Like, somebody should have said, can we get this printer moved into a small office, into the main office, or into another small office that maybe doesn't have a lot of traffic, or isn't a place where children are being taught and then children are being interrupted because multiple teachers are coming. Like, that was really odd to me. Like, where's y'all workroom at Robb Elementary School? And so what I was thinking when I read this part of the article, and that's odd. Maybe we need to do a donors choose for Robb Elementary School so they can get, a printer, maybe in every classroom, or in the hallway, even like somewhere that's not in a teacher's classroom where instruction is taking place and those children are interrupted. So yeah, I thought that was odd, but I'm just like, okay, Rob, watch out got going on in the Texas area. So anyway, principal of Robb Elementary School, she has been suspended, and she has her lawyer, speaking on her behalf as it relates to the preliminary report that was released that discussed many things, including the school not being as safe and secure as it could have been. So yeah, so that's that update. Whew, y'all, I mean, the chief of police for the school district was suspended. Now the principal is suspended, and she has been suspended with pay. Let me make sure I have that right, that she was suspended with pay. Yeah, she's suspended with pay. All right, let's keep it moving. Another update for you. The last two officers that were involved in the George Floyd killing have been charged. So J. Alexander Kong and Tao To have both been charged. They are former Minneapolis Police Department. Y'all remember this happened in 2020, where George Floyd was murdered with a knee on the neck. And so Alexander Kong has been sentenced to 3 years, and Tao has been sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. So they are the last two officers that have been sentenced as a result of their part in the George Floyd killing. So it's noted that J. Alexander Kong, he held down George Floyd's torso, and Tao, he actually kept the bystanders. You saw him, if you watched the video, you saw him kind of keeping the bystanders at bay. I'm glad he didn't take anybody's cell phone. I'm, glad he didn't violate anybody's, rights, but he did keep the individuals at bay. Thomas Lane was also convicted on a federal charge and sentenced. to 2.5 years. He was one of the 4 officers that were charged. And he actually held down George Floyd's legs, Thomas Lane, and so he was sentenced to 2.5 years. The judge noted that it was like a quote unquote minimal role that he played in the killing of George Floyd. I don't care if it's minimum or big, but that's just me talking. So anyway, you know, he got his 2.5, and we know that Derek Chauvin, he is serving a 21-year prison sentence. And then along with the 22.5-year sentence on state murder charges. So yeah, I'm so thankful that you know, that they're serving their time for George Floyd's killing. So that's an update. All of the officers that were involved in that murder have now been sentenced. So prayerfully, the George Floyd family has already, you know, has moved on, and I know it's a day-to-day process of healing and process of seeing what's going to happen when trials like this take place. But prayerfully, now that this last sentencing has happened, prayerfully they can, you know, go forth, continue to live their lives and do what they need to do to, you know, to honor the memory of their brother and their father and their friend and cousin and uncle and all. So yeah. All right. So moving right along in our news stories, y'all, I thought this story was interesting because I didn't know that this took place at all, but the Republican National Convention has been paying Donald Trump's legal fees. I didn't even realize that the national conventions, whether it was the Republican or the Democratic, whichever national, I didn't realize that they paid like legal fees of presidents. And so I recognize that they do support presidents legally when they are in office, but the Republican National Convention is supporting Trump since a few years he's been out of office. And so it's been reported that they have paid almost $2 million to law firms that are representing Donald Trump. And so they are continuing to support him financially during the trials that he, not the trials, excuse me, but during the law suits that have been filed against him. And some of that is related to, the January 6th attack on the Capitol. So that's interesting. I don't even have any words. I don't even have any words for that. And then the even more interesting part of it is that the chairman of RNC, Ronna McDaniel, it's been noted that if Donald Trump decides to run for presidential office in the 2024 elections, that his financial aid, if you will, from the Republican National Convention will be cut off. It's been noted they're going to cut off paying his legal fees. And so the RNC, Republican National Convention chair said, who is Ronna McDaniel, she said the party has to stay neutral. Okay, the party has to stay neutral. She's not trying to prevent him from running, but the party has to stay neutral. And so if he does run, then his funds will be, I want to use the word revoked. His funds will be revoked. And y'all, and please forgive me, it's the Republican National Committee, not Convention. So I apologize. I said the RNC wrong, the Republican National Committee, not Convention. Committee, not Convention. I apologize for that mistake. What y'all think about that? Like, I think that's interesting that they're paying you, because I didn't think Donald Trump was a rich person, even though he has touted himself as a rich person. We have, there's a Trump tires, not Trump tires, Trump Towers. Let me get my enunciation correct. He had the Trump Towers. He's got the Mar-a-Lago. Like, he did have a university at one time. Like, where all that money from all of those business ventures that you were supposedly leading? Like, why is somebody else paying the legal? I just think it's interesting. Curious to know what y'all think about it. I just think it's interesting. And the fact that they said they're going to cut him off, I find that even more interesting than the fact they're paying his fees. So I'm just like, but I thought y'all loved Trump. Y'all gonna cut Trump off, but yeah, they said they're gonna cut him off if he decides to run for president. So I'm gonna be watching out because I'm just curious now that I have this information. I'm curious to know what decision Trump will make about running or not. Like, I don't know. So I was reading some social media, I think about 2 weeks, either last week or the week before, about 2 weeks ago, that noted it's not a matter if Donald Trump will run for president again, it's a matter of when he will make the announcement that he will run for president again. But in light of this new information about his money being cut off, I'm curious to know if that will influence his decision to run or not run. I'm so curious to know that, y'all. But we shall see, we shall see, we shall see, we shall see. All right, y'all. I did want to, before I go to this next story, I'm going to get to the new. So there is a, let me go down a little bit. Let me go down. So I didn't print off, y'all. I didn't print off my notes. So I can't just like flip through my pages. I didn't have an opportunity to print them off before I came on. But y'all, I want to get to this story, then I'm going to scroll back up to the other stories. There are some Republicans, since I'm talking about, politics, there are some Republicans and some Democrats, y'all, that are forming a new political party. They have decided to break, the Democrats have decided to break from the Democratic Party. These Republicans have decided to break from the Republican Party. And they are discussing, I don't know if they fully formed the party yet, but they are forming a new political party called Forward. The purpose of them forming this new party is to appeal to moderate, common sense majority, to appeal to the moderate, common sense majority. I think this is interesting. Y'all know we have the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the Libertarian Party. I haven't heard much from the Libertarian Party. I never heard much from them anyway, but it seems like I've heard more from them in years past than currently. And so this new party, I'm so curious. I didn't do a lot of research on it, y'all. I don't know if Forward, it doesn't, based on how it's written, if Forward is just one word, it's not like F period O-R, O period R period and on. So I think Forward doesn't, like the individual letters don't stand for anything, it's just for, but I'm curious to know like what their platform is, what their political party is aiming to do. You know, we know that they're appealing to moderate, the moderates in our world, I'll say moderate community. We got the left, we got the right, we got the moderates, we got the liberals. Anywho, they're appealing to the moderate base for this new party. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on it because I don't know, again, like what they're hoping to accomplish with this new political party, but the individuals that are discussing this is David Jolly, Christine Todd Whitman, and Andrew Yang. Then y'all know Andrew Yang did a run for president for the 2020 elections. He was one of the presidential candidates. And so it has been noted, this is a direct quote, political extremism is ripping our nation apart, and the two major parties have failed to remedy the crisis. I cannot argue with that statement. The statement goes on to say today's outdated parties have failed by catering to the fringes. As a result, most Americans feel they aren't represented. So we'll see what happens with these, with the individuals that are forming this party. David Jolly, Christine Todd Whitman, and Andrew Yang. And I will try to have some more information about that, about this Forward political party, this new political party Forward. I'll try to have some more information for you next Sip and Say with Stephanie if there's more information to be had. But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at them for organizing a new party. Like, I'm surprised it took this long. for Congress people and former Congress people to come together to form a new party. I'm surprised it took this long. I'm actually, yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. I'm surprised it took this long, and I'm curious to know when they're gonna launch. I'm curious to know like how many moderates it will appeal to, if it will appeal to any conservatives, if it will appeal to any liberals. Like, I'm curious to know who their base will be and who will read the information that is presented by this party and decide to come on board. Like, I'm so curious now that I know, now that I know about this, just like knowing about the Trump and stuff. Now that I know about this, I'm gonna be looking into it, doing some more research, giving you all some more information about it. It might be a political party you want to join. It might be one I want to join. I don't know. We'll have to see what their platform will be, what their agenda will be, what they're wanting to accomplish as this new political party. We'll have to see. And I'm curious, as I don't know what to know. So inquiring minds want to know. So yeah, what y'all think? Do you all think we need a new political party? Do you all think the Democrats are doing a strong enough job to fight for the citizens of the United States of America? Do you think the Republican parties are doing a good enough job to fight for the citizens in the United States of America? Or do you think the third party is needed? So that we can hopefully get some things done in Washington. Because, like, you know, when I do pay attention to what is happening in the Republican Party specifically, and it don't take much to see what's going on, and then when I pay attention to what's going on in the Democratic Party specifically, and then when I'm looking at what's going on in Congress, sometimes the teacher in me comes out, the educator in me comes out, because I feel like it's a bunch of children running this United States of America, bickering, fighting, can't play nice together, can't share. Like, do we all need to go back to pre-K to learn some social emotional skills, to learn how to share, to learn how to take turns, to learn how to talk to people? Like, do we need to go back to pre-K, like the young folks get my clap in? Do we need to go back and learn some social skills, some interpersonal skills, so that we know how to communicate with one another, some communication skills, so that we know how to communicate with each other for the benefit of the United States of America? There's so much hatred, so much division, so much finger pointing, so much of that and more going on in Congress. It's ridiculous. And the teacher in me wants to go on up to DC and be like, look here, let's go back to school. School is in session with Ms. Humphrey. Let's start with how do we share. Let's start with how we communicate with each other. Then let's go to our sharing skills. Let's go to our taking turn skills. Let's go to how we use our words. We use kind words. We are respectful to each other, whether we agree with each other or not, whether we have the same ideals or not. We will still be respectful to each other. We will agree to disagree and be respectful in our agreeing to disagree. Like, I just can't believe that grown folk act the way they do, y'all. It's ridiculous. Like, when I'm paying attention, because sometimes I don't want to pay attention. I don't want to hear the mudslinging. I don't want to hear about the finger pointing. Republicans did this, the Democrats did this, the liberals did this, the conservatives did this. The liberals, Democrats, conservatives, Republicans, like, it's ridiculous. I'm so sick of it, which is why a lot of times, sometimes I'm not paying attention to what's happening. I know I should, as a citizen of the United States of America. I do research, and I guess I should say I don't pay attention to some of the videos and some of the things that are happening like that. Like, I'll do some online research about what's going on. That way I can read it for myself and I don't have to hear the arguments, and I don't have to hear the fussing. Sometimes I do watch the video so that I can get the full story of what's going on in our legislative chambers but sometimes I just want to read about it. That way I don't want to hear, I don't have to hear nobody's voice. But yeah, school needs to be in session because it seems like some of our legislators need to go back to school to learn how to respect each other, how to be kind to each other. Like you don't have to like me to be kind to me. Like I am of the opinion that it does not take away from anybody to be kind. And maybe it does for you. Maybe your pride is such at a place where you feel slighted if you are kind to people. I do not feel slighted at all when I'm kind to people. Like, and if I'm driving on the road and somebody needs to get out, I'm gonna slow down and let them get out, especially if we're at a stop sign, not a stop sign, but a traffic light, and they're trying to get out and I'm coming up, I'll be like waving them on. Like, it doesn't hurt to be kind. It does not hurt to use your kind words. It does not hurt to be nice to people. I would rather be nice and kind to people than to be mean and angry to people any day. Was I always like that? No, I was not always like this, but with growth, with maturity, with Holy Ghost workings on in the heart, in the mind, in the soul. Yeah, it's so much better to be kind, to be nice to people. So I wish our legislators in Congress, our House of Representatives, our U.S. senators, I wish they'd just get themselves together. That's just how I feel about it. And since this Sip and Stay with Stephanie, I'm gonna say what I want to say. I wish they would get themselves together. And I also think about, and again, this is probably the educator in me, I think about children. I think about our preteens. I think about our teenagers watching this, because we have to take American history, like we have to take um, social studies. Social studies is a required course for graduation, whether it's US history, world history, they have so many other options than we did or than I did when I was growing up. Like it was just social studies. We had our civics class, we had a government, which included the government, and it seems like we had a US history class. I think we had civics, we had US history. And I feel like we may have had some other history. I know we didn't have no Black history class, and I do know that we didn't have Black history classes. I do know that. But I remember my 5th grade teacher, Miss Hilliard. Oh, she would teach some Black history. Let me tell you, she was even at that time. Miss Hilliard looked like she was in her 50s, even when I was in 5th grade, and she did not play no games with us. And she taught us in her social studies class. We learned all history, especially some Black history. Anyway, that was a side note. So today, our children have more opportunities, like they have more classes, more history classes to take across the board. And so, yeah, child, we have to know our history. And so part of knowing that history, I know our preteens, our teenagers are watching what is going on in Congress. I know that they're watching what is going on in Washington, and I wonder what they think. Like, I wonder how the bickering and the back and forth and the finger pointing and the division and the dissension amongst our US senators and amongst our House of Representatives, I wonder how that affects our young people. Like, I wonder, I don't think it affects them emotionally or mentally, nothing like when they're going into mental health crisis, nothing like that. But I wonder, when I say I wonder how it affects them, I wonder what do they think about adults in general as it relates to the election process, as it relates to US senators, as it relates to the House of Representatives, as it relates to the leaders that have been elected to run our country. Like, it makes me wonder, what do they think about the electoral process and what that means to them as a citizen in our world, and how our elected officials should be conducting themselves. Like, I wonder, do the young people sit back and be like, oh, they can't get along with each other? Oh, they're being mean to each other. Like, I wonder how it affects their view of history as it relates to our elections and voting on particular candidates. And then when those candidates get in office, how they conduct themselves in August, like that entire process. I do think about that sometimes, what our young people think about our legislators, whether they're Republican legislators or Democratic legislators. I wonder what they think about the people who are running our country. If I'm thinking about it as an adult, I know they're thinking about it. And so I'm just hoping that it's a situation where if they're looking at our politicians and they see things that aren't right, I hope it's a situation where they say, you know what, I'm going to run for office. I'm going to start with the local elections, right? I'm going to run for mayor. I'm going to run for city council. I'm going to run for the county commissioners. And then eventually I'm going to run for the US Senate. I'm going to run for the US House of Representatives. Then, you know, let me go back to the state Senate, and then the state House of Representatives. And then I'm going to run for the US Senate and the US House of Representatives. Like, I'm hoping that it causes them to be an activist. I'm hoping that it causes them to get even more involved with the political process. I hope it causes them to want to vote and want to register to vote and vote when they turn 18. And I hope it lights a fire into them to say, I can do better. My generation can do better. So let me stand up, run for office, and do better, you know, for my community and for the citizens of the United States. So that I'm hoping that it has that type of effect on them, as opposed to a negative effect that would say, I ain't voting for nobody, because all politicians are crooked. All I'm voting is for the lesser of two evils. Like, I don't want it to turn them off from the political process, from the election process, you know. I know that was a long explanation that I hadn't planned to talk about, but I am concerned about our young people. You know, as an educator, I'm concerned about them. And then you know, they're going to be leading our world. Like, the younger people are like my nieces and nephews, my younger cousins, like they're going to be leading our nation the next 20 years and beyond. And gosh, I would love to say that we're setting them up for success, but looking at our Republicans and our Democrats, I don't know what we're setting our young people up for. I don't know, but I guess I've said enough about that. I've talked probably like 15 minutes on that, right? I think I've said enough on that. I just pray that our young people will get involved with the political process. There are some young people now that are already activists. They're already serving in their community, helping in their community. They're politically aware and know what's going on, and so they're working to better their community and better this world. And so I appreciate you young people who are activists and bettering your world. Thank you. I appreciate you. Much obliged to you. All right. Let's move on to our next news story. I'm going to take a sip. So y'all, this story, I cannot believe this. I could not believe this story, y'all. But y'all know last Thursday I was talking about the wildfires that are raging in several states within the United States. And so there are two fires that were allegedly started. Two fires were allegedly started in Oregon. Only an acre of land was lost, but there was, I'm going to call it a citizen's arrest, is what I'm going to call it. There were 3 individuals who detained, I'm saying detained in quotes, y'all see me doing my quotes, detained the person that they felt started these fires. I'm gonna tell y'all how they detained y'all. It's not funny. It's really not funny. It's really not funny, but I really can't believe that they did this. So the gentleman's name, let me get to his name. He's has been identified as Trenon Smith from Veneta, Oregon. He's 30 years old. He is the one that they felt like started these fires. And so the incident in question happened on Monday at 1:46 p.m., where they detained this young man, this Mr. Smith. They detained him. Now, the individuals who detained him, these 3 individuals, they did not release their names. But what happened is they thought that he purposefully started these fires, okay? In a remote section of the woods, they tracked him down and they confronted him, all right? Let me see why they thought about that. I was looking to see why they did this. Because he was actually seen walking around the where the fire started. Okay, here it is. They reported that they spotted this young man, this Mr. Smith. He had been spotted walking along the gravel road that was leading to the Mario Lodge and the Roog River Ranch where the fires were allegedly started. They saw this young man. They felt like he was the one that started the fires, and they detained him. So he got the three citizens and then the young man who was suspected to have started these fires. They got in a bit of a scuffle. And in order for the three citizens to detain, well, I ain't gonna say in order, but let me backtrack. They decided, I ain't gonna say in order for them, but they decided to detain him by tying him to a tree. Yes, I did say they decided to detain him by tying him to a tree. Yeah, y'all heard me right. I'm gonna say the third time. They detained him by tying him to a tree. So I'm like, okay, first of all, why y'all got rope? Okay, maybe it's okay. Y'all got rope in the car. Okay, I keep a little bungee cord in case I'm gonna get some furniture in my car. So okay, maybe that's part of your little toolkit in your truck in your car. Okay. First of all, why y'all going after him? That's number one. Y'all better learn something from anyway, let me not go there. So they confronted him. First of all, they should have called the police and waited for the police to confront him, but they decided to confront this man enough that they got in a scuffle with this man and detained, quote unquote, detained him. But first of all, you shouldn't have confronted him. You should have let the police do it. Second of all, you should not have approached him in any way, put your hands on him, getting in a confrontation with him in any way. That's number two. And three, you should not have forcefully subdued him. That's not your job. That's just not your job. And then you tied him to, because I was thinking, like, first of all, they should not have subdued him, but they couldn't have just like, they shouldn't have done any of it. But tying this man to a tree was a bit, I couldn't believe that they had done this, and they were not charged, y'all. These three men who tied this alleged suspect to a tree were not charged with anything. So the gentleman, Mr. Smith, they actually took him to the Three Rivers Hospital in order to treat him for the injuries that he sustained in this scuffle that he had. It was noted that he fell. Whatever happened with the scuffle, he did fall. He sustained some injuries, and he was taken to the hospital to treat his injuries. And after that, the police did take him into custody. It is noted that this particular case is still under investigation. So I don't think, let me see if the young man has been charged. So it doesn't say that he's been charged, he has been taken into custody, it doesn't say he's been charged, and it is an ongoing investigation. I can't believe that they did not hold the three men accountable for tying this man to a tree. Like, I feel like they like violated his civil rights. I don't even know, but I just feel like they like first of all, don't put your hands on me. I don't like it. I don't like that this happened to this young man and that they were not charged for what they did. But let me tell you what, the Curry County Sheriff's Office, they did release a statement on social media. And they said it was reported that the suspect became very combative with the three residents and had to be tied to a tree to subdue. That's an actual statement that the Curry County Sheriff's Office released on social media. That it was reported that the suspect became very combative with the three residents and had to be, they use the word had to be, tied to a tree to subdue him. No, because no, he did not have to be tied to anything because first of all, they're not the police. They should not have subdued, they should not have confronted him, they should not have put their hands on him, they should not have subdued him, they should not have tied him to the tree. If I was this gentleman, I would press some assault charges against those three citizens. Let me get my citizen. Like, y'all, when I read that story, I was like, I have got to shut down on Sip and Say with Stephanie because I don't even understand why they felt the need to do that. That's who it is. Ahmaud Arbery. You better ask the Mr. Michael and his Mr. Michael and his son, or Mr. Michael and his father. I can't remember if Michael was the son or the father, when they chased down and murdered Ahmaud Arbery. And they Trayvon Martin with who? George Zimmerman. Of course, George Zimmerman went to trial, but he was not convicted. I mean, I feel like citizens are empowered, in quotes, to confront other citizens. I don't even understand your ground laws and these citizens arrests. If I was this young man, I would charge them with assault. I declare. I don't know about laws in Oregon if they have stand your ground, which stand your ground doesn't relate in this particular case. I'm thinking about the Trayvon Martin case with George Zimmerman, where a citizen tried to apprehend another citizen. Like, I don't know what laws are on the books in Oregon as it relates to citizens confronting other citizens or doing a citizen's arrest or anything. I don't know the laws in Oregon. So I don't even know, why these three men just decided to do that. I don't have the information, but if I get an update, I will let you all know at the next Sip and Say with Stephanie. Boy, what do y'all think about that? Like, do you all think that they have the right to put their hands, first of all, to confront this man, to put their hands on him, to tie him to a tree? Do you all think that they have the right to do that? I don't. But what y'all think? Let me know. Let me know. Add it to the chat, add it to the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Because y'all, we would have been going to blows. Like, no, you're not gonna put your hands on me. That's just not gonna happen. So anyhow, let me before I get even more riled up. Before I get more riled up, let me move on to the next story. So you all, I haven't done a lot of research on this particular story, so I'm going to do some more information. Hopefully at the next Sip and Say with Stephanie, I can share more with you. But I did want to inform you in case you want to do some research for yourself before the next Sip and Say with Stephanie comes about. But there is a RAP Act that has been presented, co-sponsored by Representatives Hank Johnson, Democrat from Georgia, and Jamal Bowman, Democrat from New York. It's the Restoring Artistic Protection Act, or the RAP Act. It actually seeks to amend the federal rules of evidence to limit the admissibility of a defendant's creative or artistic expression in criminal proceedings. So what has been happening, you all, is that the lyrics that rappers are using in their songs, in their music, those lyrics, prosecutors are using those lyrics to come after rappers and prosecute them for whatever the lyrics are talking about, whatever it is, drugs, murder, gang, whatever. Prosecutors are using rap lyrics to come after these artists, which I do not like, I do not agree with. I don't even know how that law was able to get, or how that federal rule of evidence was able to even get on the books, because it's specific to rap, y'all. I haven't read, and like I said, I haven't done full research on this. I am gonna do some more research, but again, this is going after Black people because most rappers are Black. Most rappers are Black. So in my opinion, it is another way to oppress Black people. That's how I feel about it. Now, again, I'm going to do some more research on the original rules or the original guidelines, and then I'm going to do some more research on this RAP Act that has been introduced. I'm praying that it passes because to me, rap is telling a story. It could be telling a story of that artist's life. It could be telling a story of a family member's life. It could be telling the story of another person, a friend, or someone else who they got permission to share their life, share their story. But other genres of music do that too. Country music shares a story of a person's life. Heavy metal, rock, pop, Christian music, all music genres share in part, if not in all, the story of a person's life. Shares your personal testimony. It shares some experiences that you've had. And just because I say this happened, it doesn't mean that you should be able to use that to criminally charge me, because you don't know if that's a story that I'm making up or if that's a real life story. So why are you going after rappers, prosecutors? You know, why is it these particular guidelines have been used primarily against Black rappers, and it's just wrong. It's just not right. It's just not right. So yeah, so I'll do some more information about that, but you all do that research for yourself about the RAP Act that's been introduced and about the federal rules of evidence that allow prosecutors to use a artist's rap lyrics to prosecute them. That's just the craziest thing I have ever heard. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. Like of course, there are not advocate. Let me get my enunciation correctly. Advocate groups that have been speaking out against this because, in my opinion, like some of the advocacy groups have said, this is freedom of expression. This is freedom of speech. And so, why are you trying to limit my speech or why are you trying to limit my creativity by limiting my speech? So you're coming after freedom of speech, not freedom of creativity. That's not, on the books. But to me, it is limiting an artist's creativity. I write songs. Like, I don't write songs like nationally recording artists do, but I do write my own songs. And so I don't want the lyrics of my song to be used against me. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's just not right. And so there have been some conversations about this particular, this federal rules of evidence hindering a person's freedom of speech. Yeah, I have more to say about that, but I'm gonna keep moving because my stomach is soon signaling a strike. Hear me, I didn't have my dinner before. So look, y'all, I don't know if you know this, but the World Championships happened in Oregon, July 15th through the 24th. I had no idea this was happening until July 23rd, like the day before it ended. I had no idea this was happening, but I was at my cousin's house and I was going through some YouTube videos and it came up where Sydney McLaughlin. Oh, let me look at her name. McLaughlin. I don't know if I'm saying this right. It's spelled McLaughlin. My enunciation has been off tonight, y'all. McLaughlin. So she actually set a new world record. Like, she done set world records in the past for the 400-meter hurdles, but she done set a new world record. So I was watching her race, y'all. She was doing, y'all. She was. I think McLaughlin is only like 20 or 22. She's a young lady, but she set a new world record. Excuse me, get my enunciation correctly. At 50.68 seconds in the 400-meter hurdles for women. The women's 400-meter hurdles, 50.68 seconds. Her previous world records were 51.46 and then 51.9. And so she broke, 51.9 and then 51.46. So she broke that. She getting faster, y'all. 50.68, child. Have y'all ever tried it? So I used to run track and field. I did a 100 and the 200 relay. I never did any hurdles. I did the shot put because we needed a shot put and the long jumps. I did those as well. I never did the disc, but I did the shot put and the long jump. I didn't do very well in those events because I didn't have enough training before my coach was like, I want you to, like, who's gonna do this? I can't remember if I volunteered or if he told me I was gonna do it. That part I don't remember. So I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, so I wasn't very good at it, but we needed somebody to do it. I either volunteered or be appointed, whatever. And so I enjoy track and field. Like, it's the only sport that I participated in when I was in high school. And then I did cheerleading. But I love track and field. And so I wanted to try the hurdles, but I don't think I had enough. I don't think my body had the ability to jump a hurdle. Cause like, I think I practiced the hurdles and I told my coach, cause I think I failed and hurt myself. And I was like, no, this is not for me. This is definitely not for me. And so I applaud anybody who has the stride. Cause to me, you gotta have your stride right to jump those hurdles. You got to have your run right in between the hurdles, and then you have to have your stride right to clear those hurdles. And so she set a new world record, y'all. 50.68, Miss Sydney McLaughlin. Congratulations to you, Miss Sydney, who is a Christian woman, by the way. I forgot the other record. Okay, hold on. Let me backtrack her world records. It was 51.9, 51.46, and 51.4. So now she at a 50.68. So that's all right with me. Go ahead, Miss Sydney. So yes, and it was also Miss Allyson Felix. She actually ran the mixed 400 meter, and with Elijah Goodwin, with Vernon Norwood and Kennedy Simon. They did come in third place. They got the bronze medal, and it made it gave Allyson Felix her 30th medal. She ran that on day one. Day one, they did the 4x400 meter. I never did the 4x400. I did the 4x200. And so yeah, so they won the bronze, gave her third medal, and then Allyson Felix ended up, and I didn't get the stats for this one, but she ended up running in the women's 4x. I think that one was a 4x4 as well. She ran. I can't remember what. I remember. I'm looking at the race right now because I did watch it, and I cannot remember. I'm gonna see if I can look it up while I'm talking. I don't remember which leg she ran, but I always ran third leg. I wasn't really fast when I first started off. I was not really fast. I usually ran third leg, and I can't remember again if I was appointed to run that leg or if I volunteered. I cannot remember, but yeah, I would always run the third leg. I can't even remember if we won or not, y'all. I don't remember. It's been so long ago. But yeah, I love running. Track and field I wish I would have kept up with it. Like I wish I would have started earlier in my high school journey and been able to compete every single year. I did not have hopes of the Olympics or anything like that, but I may have ran in college, because I remember watching the track and field athlete when I was at college, and I was just like, man, I really wish I would have stuck with it. I really wish I would have been able to continue to pursue track and field. But actually the high school that I moved to, we moved, and they had track and field, but I think it was only for a year, and then there wasn't enough participants, so they did away with it. And so yeah, so I wasn't able to run the second high school that I went to. So it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna take a sip, y'all. But I believe I would have done well if I would have continued my journey in track and field. Not Olympic well, and that's but well, in competing and things like that. So yeah, y'all, Miss Allyson Felix. This is her last season running. Let me see. Oh, I was gonna look up to see. Yeah, she did the 4. It was the 4x4, and I think they won. I forget who she was running with, but I think they won. Y'all got to see that race. The young lady who ran the third leg, was it the second or the third? Child, I don't even know who it was because I have not. I don't keep up with who's some of the best runners now. I have not been keeping up with it. Like even the last Olympics, I have not been diligent about keeping up with the last Olympics, the last Summer Olympics. And so I haven't been in tune to who's the quickest runners or the fastest runners now. But whoever ran that third leg on that 4x4, good God from Zion, she was hitting it. Second leg did good, like all of them did well, but that third leg, boy, and then that fourth leg, she just took it on home. It was a really good win. And so anyway, so Allyson Felix ran her last races. I don't know like when the next Olympics are. I feel like they're in Paris, you all. Let me look it up really quick. We have the last Olympic Games in Beijing this year. I don't know when the next ones are, but Winter Olympics, of course, will be coming up. So I don't know, y'all. I didn't have it written down on my paper, but congratulations to Miss Allyson Felix for this being what at least it's said to be your last race. You know, Allyson Felix is 36, y'all. At 36, she participated in the world games, and it's part of the Olympics. You know, it's part of. I didn't even know that they ran worlds because I didn't even realize that's what it was. I was telling my cousin, "Girl, I'm watching the Olympics," and it was really the worlds, which is part of the Olympics. But I didn't even realize that that was a thing. And so now that I know, hopefully I can pay attention to it for next year. But it's said to be, you know, her last race. And so congratulations to you, Allyson Felix, for a remarkable career. She's been running since on the Olympic stage, she's been running since 18, like right out of high school. I don't know if she ran track and field all 4 years of high school or not, or even if she ran, you know, in middle school, or even ran when she was younger, because there are like your community sports. And so I don't know when she started running, but right out of high school, she was doing her Olympic races right at 18. So she had an amazing journey, 30 medals. So congratulations to you, Miss Allyson Felix. And if I will post the race, y'all, and I will post the race in the description so you can see it's good. It's so good. And so let me just take a minute to my outline and note it as it relates to the three gentlemen who did quote unquote, I'm gonna just say quote a citizen's arrest. I ain't gonna say just quoting, but these three gentlemen who detained quote unquote this young man who they thought started the fires in Oregon. She said they didn't have a gun to shoot him, or they would have tried, or so they tied him to the tree. This is similar to a hanger. I thought about that. I really did. It was wrong, wrong, wrong. They should have been charged with assault. I agree. They should have been charged with assault. I totally agree with that. And that did remind me, like when I read that they tied him to a tree, it did remind me of a lynching. It did remind me of how Black people used to be hung from trees. And in some cases, there have been some hangings in the 21st century, which is ridiculous. And so, yeah, so I know I was a little tickled when I first started because I could not believe, and I was tickled not because it was funny that they did this, but I was tickled the fact that they thought it was okay to do this. Like, I don't even understand why they thought that was okay and why the officers did not charge them. But you know, it was a mess, y'all. It was a mess. And so I think I'm going on to my last story. Yes, I'm to my last story, y'all. I'm so excited because I am ready to eat y'all. So the last story, I'm gonna make sure that because I want to make sure that I got all the stories I wanted to share with you all. You all, I don't have much information about this story, but I thought this was interesting. So I'm just gonna throw it out there for you all to do some research on your own, okay? But there is a Baltimore family. I did not even know, you all, that there is such a thing as a Sesame Place. So it's, of course, stemming from Sesame Street. It's a Sesame Place, just like Walt Disney World. It's like an amusement, a theme park. And so this Baltimore family, they are filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Sesame Place for discrimination. And so I didn't have time to dive into this story a lot, or dive deep enough to give a full report on this story, but I want you all to do some research for yourself. Number one, I need to check what the heck is Sesame Place, because again, I've never heard of Sesame. You know, it kind of sounds familiar, so maybe I heard about it years ago, but not enough that I would remember there is such a thing as a Sesame Place where families can go and see the characters of Sesame Street, engage with the characters, just like at Walt Disney World. Like, it really surprised me. And so anyway, the Baltimore family has filed a $25 million lawsuit after numerous allegations of racism against Black children who visit Sesame Place. And so y'all do some research for yourself, find out what is happening at Sesame Place. And I am gonna do some research for myself because it's got me curious, like what is happening, what is going on. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there again for you. And y'all, I also wanted to mention that there is a Jackie Robinson Museum, y'all. I don't have much about this news story as well, but there is a Jackie Robinson Museum. And they actually had the opening or the groundbreaking? Let me see. of the Jackie Robinson just over the last few days. And I was so excited about it. We know that Jackie Robinson broke color barriers, being the first African-American to play in the major leagues. He played for the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken. And so on Jackie Robinson Day, his number was 42. So on Jackie Robinson Day, the Major League Baseball teams that are playing, they wear a jersey with his number on it, which I feel like is such a wonderful an awesome way to acknowledge Jackie Robinson. He went through a lot, being the first Black person to play in the major leagues. But I appreciate his courage. I appreciate his tenacity. I appreciate the fact that he remained as calm as absolutely possible when racial slurs were thrown at him, or when food or a drink was dumped, or he was attacked by food, by what you call them, the stadium people, what you call them, y'all, the onlookers, where they, pour drinks on him, tossed food on him. I appreciate that he stayed as calm as absolutely possible so that he can do the job that he was hired to do, and that's play Major League Baseball. And so the Jackie Robinson Museum, I was talking, so I couldn't get it. It's opening, it's in New York City. And so it is, do they do the groundbreaking? Let me see. Let me see. Now, this is something that I will put as a link for the chat, as a link in the description, so that you can have this information for yourself. I think this must be the Jackie Robinson Museum, this must be a new museum that has been, oh yeah, okay, so it does, yeah, okay, so I see it now. After 14 years of planning, it has finally opened. And so I am going to, again, put the link for the Jackie Robinson Museum in the description so that you can look at it and read about it, and hopefully you can go and visit for yourself. In September, it does open to the public in September, but the grand opening was just recently. It was being streamed live on the Black Star Network. If y'all haven't subscribed to the Black Star Network, tune into the Black Star Network. They were streaming it live. And so congratulations to Jackie Robinson's family. And I'm really excited about it. I'm curious to know the paraphernalia and the artifacts of his life and of his journey in Major League Baseball, as well as his journey as an activist. I'm kind of curious to know what they're going to put in, and like what the family donated to the museum. So I'm excited for the Jackie Robinson family. And so that is opening to the public in September. So you all do some research so that you can visit the museum. Y'all, since we're talking about museums, if you all have never visited the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., you all plan to go. It is an amazing experience. There are so many historical artifacts within the walls of the National African American Museum of History. I think they call it Museum of History, if I'm not mistaken. It's a beautiful experience. It's breathtaking. The artifacts that they have collected over the years is they even got Chubby Checker's red car in the museum. I think it's on the 3rd level of the museum. It's so amazing, you all. I want to take my granddaddy to it as well. I thought about it pre-COVID, but I didn't get an opportunity to plan a family trip for us to go and visit. But I really want to get him there because I think he would be so amazed and so honored in a way as a person of history to have this museum dedicated specifically to our lives and to our history and to our stories. So if you can go visit, it's absolutely free. You do have to get your tickets in order to go, and there probably are some COVID guidelines as well. So I will put the link to the National African American Museum. I will put that link in the description as well so that you can do some research for yourself, and hopefully you can take your family. We took our high school students a couple of years back. We took them as a part of our college trip. I was working with a nonprofit, and we took them on college trips every year. And so I was actually scheduled to go to the Georgia trip, like to Atlanta. And I didn't want to go. I was like, I want to go to the DC, Virginia area. I didn't know we were going to the museum at the time, but I knew the previous years I had gone, or the previous, did I go both years? The previous year I had gone to the DC and Virginia trip. And so I like that journey. And so I was able to swim. Somebody didn't want to go to Virginia and DC. They wanted to go to Atlanta. So we switched. And even though I'm missing Morehouse's filming, because I've been on either of those college campuses, I'm so glad that I went on the Washington, D.C. trip, because I didn't know that our college advisors had got us tickets. We took the team. Y'all, man, they were amazed. I was amazed. And so we had an opportunity to experience that together and even talk about history. Like when we got to the 80s section and they had the rap, like I think they had a boom box. I was able to be like, yes, y'all, with the cassette tape. I was like, that's how we didn't have the iPods, y'all. We didn't have the streaming. We didn't have what's some of the streaming? Pandora. We didn't have Spotify. We didn't have it where you can put a million songs on your little electronic device. We had a cassette tape where we had the earphones with the not the styrofoam. What you call it? What is it? The soft material. I can't even think of the name of it. Y'all. If y'all know the name of it, put it in the chat. We had those earphones where the little earphone pieces would tear, and we'd have to replace them. Y'all, now they sophisticated. Everything's Bluetooth now. You just put them in your ear and listen. Y'all, I told them that's what I used to listen to, y'all, the cassette tapes. They looking at me like I'm Looney Tunes. But I know their mamas and daddies done told them about the 8-track and the cassette tape and the LPs, the vinyls, the records. So y'all, I had a good time perusing, like when we got to the 80s and we were talking about the boom box and the way we dressed, and I was able to tell them about the cross colors. Yeah, it was so much fun. And so again, if you can go to the National African American Museum, go. And y'all, and I'm gonna say this, and you all, when you all go, tell me if this is your experience. But they started us, it's 3 levels. And let me take a sip because I feel myself about to cough. So it's 3 levels. And so the bottom level, y'all, I remember sharing this at a previous sip and say, but the bottom level is like you're on a slave ship. Like seriously, it's dark. I felt like we heard some water dripping. They talk about slavery and how slavery started and the oppression of Black people, the enslavement of Black people. And you're going through these tight quarters. Like there's some space down there, but then you're going through this, if I'm remembering correctly, you're going through this a little tight. I know I felt uncomfortable. I felt claustrophobic. I felt very like, get me out of here. That's the experience that I had. Now we stopped and we read the different historical facts that were posted on the walls. We watched the pictures and they had like the glass casings of artifacts from the enslaved people and from that time. And y'all, it really felt like we were on a slave. We don't know what it felt like to be on that slave ship. I want to make that perfectly clear. I do not know how it feels or how it feels to be on a slave ship, because those individuals, those enslaved people were packed on top of each other. They were packed in tight quarters, feces on each other, vomit on each other. So I will not even try to compare, the experience that they had, but it felt very much just a little close to my, but it just felt very and let me say it like this: it felt enclosed. Like I felt enclosed. I felt, like I said, claustrophobic. Like I was like, get me out of here. Like it wasn't scary, but it was very intimidating, I'll say. And I know that they did that on purpose because they wanted us just to give us just a tiny, just a little fraction of the feelings that the enslaved people probably felt when they were on those slave ships. Like y'all, it was a beautiful experience in the respect of seeing the history, the historical facts and seeing the history displayed for us. That part was a beautiful experience. feeling that feeling of, oh my gosh, you know, this doesn't feel good being in these tight quarters. That was not a beautiful experience, but it was a necessary experience. It was a necessary experience. It was a necessary experience. I will say that. And then the second floor, I can't remember what was on the second floor. They did have a cabin. I do remember the cabin because we went inside the cabin of what it may have looked like within slave quarters, or the quarters of the enslaved people. I want to make sure I'm saying that right, enslaved people. And then on the top floor is where the 80s and the 90s and the modern days were coming. That's where the red Chubby Checker car is on the third floor. So y'all, we had a beautiful experience. And then after we had that experience and we talked about it, we actually went to the Museum of Art. And so we were able to see some sculptures and some paintings, and that was a beautiful experience as well. But if y'all can go, go and take your family, take your children, take them through history. It is so important, you all, that we teach our children Black history. They are not going to get it in the public schools unless they have a teacher that specifically incorporates Black history into their lessons, okay? When I was in college, I took an African American history class and was thankful that I did. My first college was at HBCU, and so I'm thankful for that experience. The book that we studied from was by Dr. John Hope Franklin, who was a Duke professor. He has since passed away, but the book was written by him. I don't even remember the name of it. I just remember he was the author of the book. And so it is important, you all, that we teach our children Black history. It's important that we do that. Y'all, I'm done. I am so done. Thank you all for joining me tonight for Sip and Say with Stephanie. I didn't have a lot of news to share with you all tonight. I meant to have some news on the monkeypox, y'all, but my time was so limited today. And so if y'all know some stuff about the monkeypox, y'all just let us know, child. I don't know how many cases we have so far in the United States of America, but from listening to the news, it seems to be highly contagious. But I don't have that fact. That's not a fact. That's just what I'm hearing on the news. So you all, let's do some research for ourselves so that we can protect ourselves and protect our families. Let's look out for this new political party that is the Forward political party that they are establishing. Let's pay attention to what's going on in our world so that we are informed, we are educated, and we can act when we need to act. Okay. All right. So look, y'all know the Pocketbook Exchange Fellowship is coming up October. I done lost my dates, y'all. October 5th through the 8th. October 5th, October 6th, October 7th. We will be right here on the Stephanie Humphrey channel at 7:00 p.m. with our theme, From Surviving to Thriving. I will be bringing the word every night during our week of revival. I'll go ahead and call it. And then on Saturday, October 8th, will be our Saturday sessions. This is a women-only session. We will be in person at the Perry Memorial Library. Registration is absolutely free, but I need you to register. One of our sessions, one of our workshops within the session is limited in space. It's a smaller space than the larger space. So I need you to register so that you can get the workshops that you want. Free, but register. And then if you want to bring a pocketbook, get you a brand new purse, y'all. Brand new purse. Don't be bringing no old purses to the Pocketbook Exchange, because we're not going to let you participate. Praise God. A new purse, and put some items in the purse along with the scripture so that you can bless another woman. All of the details are on my website at befreeministriesnc.org. befreeministriesnc.org. I will put the link in the description so that you can have easy access to it. All right, y'all. I am done. Y'all, look, let me tell y'all something. This morning when I woke up, I was tired, y'all. Like I said, at the first broadcast, I went to bed a little later than I should have because I was up editing and proofing my book. So I was up a little bit later than I wanted to be. And so I got up tired this morning. Y'all, but you know what? I started singing. What song was I singing? Lord, I thought I had it. I will trust in the Lord is coming to mind, but that wasn't what I was singing. What was I singing? Oh, I can't even think of it now, y'all. And I sang that song while I was getting ready, while I was going out the door. What was it, Lord? I can't remember what I was singing, you all, but either way, I was singing it and I kept singing it over and over again. I think God in my spirit. It's something about the Lord covering us and keeping us. It's a song I learned in the Missionary Baptist Church, y'all. And it's just a few lines of the song. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. I really want to remember it right now, but I can't. The Lord's not bringing it back to my memory. All that's coming is I will trust in the Lord. So maybe that's what I need to share with you all tonight. I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord until I die. I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord until I die. And then Fred Hammond's I Will Trust keeps coming to mind. I can't even sing it. I don't have my tune right for that one, but y'all check Fred Hammond's I Will Trust. If you all watch that video, go to YouTube, type in I Will Trust by Fred Hammond. It is a beautiful video and a beautiful song that I will trust, regardless of what is going on, regardless of what is happening in my life, even if the walls are crumbling down around me, I will trust God because I know you've got my back. I know it's working out for my good. I know you will never leave me or forsake me. I know that you are with me until the end of the age. So God, I will trust you regardless of how I feel or regardless of what my natural eyes see. I will trust you. My confidence is in you, Lord. My hope is in you, Lord. I'm gonna tell you, it's not, Lord, because in finances will fail you, your friends will fail you, your degree will fail you. Sometimes your family will fail you. Sometimes not even intentionally, but those things will fail you. But God never fails. That's what it was. Look, God, look, I fell right in it, y'all. That's what it was. God never fails. That's the song I was singing this morning. I knew God was gonna bring it. God had to take me on a journey. That's the song I was singing this morning. God never fails. He abides with me. He gives me victory. Oh, God never fails. Just keep the faith and never cease to pray. Just walk upright. Call him noonday or night. He'll be there. He'll be there. There's no need to worry. Hallelujah. Because God, he never, oh my God. God will never fail us, y'all. Like I said, that money will fail you, your education, God never, like he never fails. Oh, that just blessed my soul. God never fails. Oh, God never fails. Hallelujah. He abides with us. He gives us victory. God never fails. Just keep the faith, y'all. Hold on, God. Hold on, y'all. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. Hold on, y'all. Just keep the faith and never cease to pray. Walk upright. Call him noon, day, or night. He'll be there. He'll be there. There's no need to worry. Hallelujah. Because our God, what am I about to say? Our God, he never fails. God will not fail you. Whatever you've been asking God for, whatever you've been believing God for, whatever you've been trusting God for, he will not fail you. Your husband may have let you down. Your spouse may have let you down. Your church may have let you down. Your job may have let you down, but God will never let you down. He will never fail you. And there's another song, he will never fail you. God will never fail you. So yeah, God, y'all just hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Trust God and know he will never fail. Y'all, I really am done. That was closing number 2. I really, really, really am done. Y'all join us at the Pocketbook Exchange. Again, October 5th through 8th. We would love to have you register for free. Just let us know that you're coming so that we can prepare for you. Amen. Amen. This was Sip and Say with Stephanie. But God can come in anytime He wants to come in because He is God, He is sovereign. He doesn't have to ask my permission to do anything because He speaks after the counsel of His own will, and He can do what He wants to, say what He wants to, flow any way He wants to. Amen. Amen, y'all. So look, y'all, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of other people, be kind to people, be respectful to people, smile at people. Be careful who you're smiling to, because sometimes that could turn into something else. But I'm just saying, trust God, know He will never fail you, and be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. All right, y'all. I'll see you next Thursday for Bible study in the Old Testament. All right. Y'all take care.